Welcome to Politics Unplugged, where we take the complex world of politics and make it not just understandable, but engaging. Today, we're kicking off our 10-episode series with a foundational question. What is politics?
Absolutely. We often hear the term politics and might think it only relates to politicians or elections, but it's much broader. Politics involves behaviors, cultures, and the processes through which we express our values and ideas in society.
Right. Let's break that down a little. Political behavior refers to actions like voting or protesting, while political culture encapsulates the attitudes and beliefs that underlie those behaviors. You might think of political socialization as the lens through which we all learn about these concepts, right from our families or educational institutions.
Exactly. For instance, consider how a child's understanding of political parties often starts at home. If parents regularly discuss political issues or express strong opinions about elections, that shapes the child's own beliefs and engagement, or even apathy towards politics.
And this isn't just theory. These socialization processes can often be illustrated through real-world examples. Let's take a moment to reflect on how families and schools in the Caribbean, or anywhere else for that matter, instill political values. Imagine a classroom where students debate current political events. They're not just learning history, they are practicing how to engage with democracy.
Such a powerful tool for learning. Sometimes this classroom vibe is counterbalanced by different influences. What happens when the media's viewpoint starkly contrasts with what they hear at home? This is where we see that complex interplay of socialization agents, family, media, and peers, reinforcing or challenging our political beliefs.
Let's get into another crucial topic, political participation. This includes not just voting, but could entail protests, demonstrations, or community meetings. A challenge today, as we're seeing more protests and perhaps declining voter turnout. Why do you think fewer people are heading to the polls?
That's a great question. It's intriguing. Some studies suggest economic frustration and distrust of political establishments could play a role. In the context of Caribbean countries, high levels of unemployment or slow economic growth may push people to protest instead of participating through traditional voting.
And let's note the significance of these unrests. While they express discontent, they also shine light on what people truly value and demand from their governments. This is where understanding political culture becomes important.
Right. Certain values like justice, freedom, and equality vary in their importance across different groups in society. If we consider Caribbean nations, perspectives on these values can shift based on historical context, social class, and geography.
And as listeners, we can draw parallels to our own societies. What values do we prioritize, and how does that influence our political institutions? Speaking of institutions, let's dive into how these play a role in shaping our political landscape, like media, religious organizations, unions, and political parties.
These institutions are the frameworks through which we navigate political life. They are responsible for inculcating democratic values, but can also consolidate power in ways that might not always serve the public's interest. For example, how do different styles of leadership, whether charismatic or paternalistic, impact our political effectiveness?
That's deeply connected to our identities, isn't it? Our national identity, race, and socioeconomic backgrounds all play a part in shaping leadership styles and political effectiveness. Consider how the perception of a leader can shift with context. A leader might be seen as inspiring in one situation, but authoritarian in another.
Absolutely. And this brings us beautifully to the question of democracy. We often encounter definitions of democracy that hinge solely on free elections, but is that enough? What else should we be considering?
A compelling point. Democracy encompasses much more than elections. It also involves accountability, equal rights, public participation, and the safeguarding of individual freedoms. When we think about this, we can better analyze democratic states worldwide, like comparing the systems in the USA and the UK, or considering participatory models.
Plus, it is vital to differentiate between representative democracy, which is what we typically see, and more participatory forms that encourage direct engagement from citizens. We should explore the implications of states that lean towards minimal roles in welfare versus those that take a more robust welfare approach.
Shifting gears a bit, How fascinating is the transition from communism to post communism? It's a substantial change in the political landscape, isn't it? Understanding these shifts can give us insight into current global tensions.
Yes, there's so much history wrapped in those terms. Communism, which aimed for a classless society and collective ownership, led to certain economic structures that have radically shifted. But then, why did these regimes collapse, and how did the transition lead to mixed results in democracy?
We are witnessing the impact of globalization and how it exerts both positive and negative effects on developing nations, especially in the Caribbean. Rapid technological advancements can connect us, but they also expose local economies to pressures that can push against traditional practices.
Indeed, it's important for listeners to consider how far-reaching the effects of globalization are, not merely in economics, but also in cultural expressions and political movements. They shape everything from grassroots activism to large-scale policy changes. It's inviting, but also daunting.
So, what do our listeners take away from today's rich discussion? At its core, this podcast is about understanding that politics is inescapably connected to our lives, shaped by our behaviors, socialization, cultural values, and the intricate systems we navigate.
And it's also about recognizing our roles within this framework. Whether through voting, engaging in protests, or even discussing political matters around the dinner table, we all have a part to play. Understanding the nuances enables us to engage with the world around us more effectively.
Thanks for tuning in today. We hope you'll join us for our next episode, where we'll tackle the intriguing topic of political behavior and participation, and explore even more about how these concepts manifest in our lives.
We look forward to diving deeper into these conversations. Stay curious, and remember, politics isn't just for politicians, it's for everyone.